The numbers told the story. They always do.
It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is a numbers game with Gill Alexander on VSiN.
Hour number 2 of a numbers game at VSiN, the sports betting network, VSiN.com, Game Plus, iHeartRadio, YouTube TV, and of course, Sirius XM channel 158. Gill Alexander, Kelley Bydlon, producer number 9. So much more than a producer here at the desk. Will Hill still to come to talk college hoops with us. Some college conference tourney futures, perhaps, in our future with him. Paul Carr to talk Champions League with us. Breaking news, and not of the good kind, Shams Charania reporting that, Kyrie's knee injury last night, it is a torn ACL. Done for the season.
Yeah, it sucks. He was having a great season. Great year.
That happened in the Mavericks loss to the Kings last night. I think DeMar DeRozan was going for a steal, kind of nudged him, and then Kyrie landed on Valanciunas' foot. His knee extended. In the end, it's a torn ACL. He shot 2 free throws on with the torn ACL. He had tears in his eyes. And so the Mavericks, who right now are in the 10th spot in the Western Conference, I guess Phoenix and Portland behind him. You were saying off air, this is going to be just the ugliest run for the 10 spot in the Western Conference.
It's just, it starts with sad, right? The Mavericks with all these injuries are in the 10th spot right now. The Suns, who have had maybe the most, chasing Philadelphia for the most disappointing season in the NBA. And they've kind of been an easy fade candidate recently, but they've got life all of a sudden again.
Well, as Paul Carr said off air here, he said, well, at least they have Luka. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
And then did you catch this yesterday? The Mavericks announced that they were hiking ticket prices. I'm not making this up.
I did catch that.
Oh, well, Kyrie out for the season with the torn ACL. So as Jason Kidd said, coach of the Mavericks, he said, you're just unlucky, just unlucky that happened. And that's the latest from Shams on that. We get tweets at Beating the Book. Always appreciate the feedback from everybody about every part of the show. This is from, Sparty. DraftKings won't let me parlay win totals. Come on, man. I think that's awesome that now there's a whole generation of bettors who expects that is allowed.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not universal that's allowed. Drew from Boise. Hey, our buddy Drew. Gill, thanks to Joe PETA for coming on. Awesome, fun discussion. More, please. Enjoy Indian Wells. Oh, thank you very much. I plan to. Brian Morianen. Pardon me, Brian. The market is down, but I got Ovechkin 17-1 to get his 895th game-breaking goal against Minnesota on March 27th. He said he got it last week, so that's 11 games from now. I love these kinds of markets.
I see FanDuel has 28-1 up right on Minnesota.
This is a true story. You don't have to believe me if you don't, but when Barry Bonds, the year that he was going to clearly break, at the pace that he was on, going to break Hank Aaron's all-time home run record, before the season started, I was doing my, I always call it my Johnny Unitas year in music radio, Johnny Unitas San Diego Chargers year in music radio, or my Joe Namath Los Angeles Rams year, as I was at a country music radio station, and I called August 7th as the day that Bonds would break it, and sure enough, August 7th. Of course, there was no bets in those days to actually make any money on that.
Yeah, FanDuel's got some props up. Just the will he break it during the regular season? Yes, -160, no, +122.
Say again?
Yes, -160 that he will break the record.
Oh, when? This year?
Just this regular season. In the regular season. Yeah.
Oh, man. -160 seems really low at this point.
I was kind of thinking the same thing, but...
And Corbin, I'm sorry. Being a Canadian, I love Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but the whole MVP discussion is dumb. You're telling me the player with better talent on his team has a bad performance and they still win? But Jokic needs to be near perfect or else his team will lose almost every game? Okay. Yeah, Corbin, none of it makes sense. Ladies and gentlemen, you need some midweek soccer action? We've got your guy. Paul Carr joins us. I haven't seen Paul in at least a month. You can follow him on Twitter at cleverly Paul Carr, C-A-R-R. He is the host of the Expected Value podcast. He works for TruMedia Networks, and he's part of the Ringer gambling podcast Assault. His, of course, being the soccer variety. How you doing, Paul?
I'm good. I hope your reappearance on the show doesn't mess up my hot streak I've had so far this year.
If it does, I gotta go. You know how this works.
That's right. Bring back Joe.
That's right. Okay, well, tell us. This is always a good sort of way to reset. So this is the Champions League. Please feel free to give your American sports analogy to what this is for new listeners who might not know how this works and where we are in the stage of the Champions League right now.
Yeah, we're at the Sweet 16 of the Champions League. 16 teams left. We've got the knockout bracket set. And I always think college basketball is the easiest analogy. These teams, it's like playing the NCAA tournament during the regular season, which of course doesn't make a lot of sense to our American sports brains, but that's how they do it, with Champions League going the same time as the Premier League and La Liga and all the other domestic leagues in Europe. But we're at the round of 16. So it's 2 legs, home and away. We've got the first leg of the round of 16 this week and the second legs next week.
Do you enjoy betting the first leg of the round of 16 better than this, more than you do the second leg? Yes. Because the second leg can be, well, there's motivations in the second leg. Correct. Let's put it.
Yeah, the lines in the second leg will sometimes look very strange because a team doesn't need to win to advance. As long as they only lose by 1 goal, they'll go through. And so you'll see these favored teams, or they would normally be favored, they might not be favored in the match, and it just kind of breaks your brain. I mean, there's still opportunities there, but it requires a little more mental gymnastics to make sure you understand who needs what. And there's also the looming possibility of extra time, and you're making regulation bets. So it's a little more work. And not kind of the normal soccer betting brain you have to use to figure out those second leg numbers.
All right, on the Ringer Soccer Show, you did a little something here. This is going to sound, Kelley, like Brian Ortega is producing this segment, but you did a little something on the Ringer Soccer Show where you compared teams in the Champions League. And by the way, Real Madrid is the short shot to win the Champions League at 4-1, followed by Barcelona at plus 450, Liverpool 5-1, Arsenal plus 550, Bayern Munich at 7-1, rounding out the single-digit shots. But you compared each of these sides to an Oscar film. Do you care to do that now?
I can give you a couple of them.
All right.
I'll start. I can start with my first pick. How about that?
Let's do it.
So there's a film nominated for Best Picture. It's called I'm Still Here. And this comparison is really just about the title. Club Brugge, they're still here. And they're the last team to get through to this knockout stage. And a lot of people just kind of overlook them. But they already beat Aston Villa once this season in the group stage. They beat Sporting. They drew Juve. They won at Atalanta. I think this team is a little underrated. And Aston Villa, conversely, has been on a really bad tear this year. They've lost the last couple road games badly in the Premier League. They kind of muddled through the Champions League. They were good early and then coasted their way through to get into this round. So I really like Club Brugge to win this one today. I got it at plus 195. I've seen plus 200 and better out there today, so there's probably some better prices available. It's just a really good price on a team in Bruges that's not that much worse than Villa, and they're at home. So I like Bruges to win this one because they're still here, as they keep reminding us.
They're still here, which, by the way, did not win the Oscar, nor are you suggesting that they will win this game. So Atalanta to advance versus Club Brugge.
Nah, it's wrong. Sorry, that is from last appearance from Paul Carr. Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. All right, we got that wrong. Okay,
that one didn't work out last time. So
all right,
I'm back on the Bruges bandwagon.
Clarify what the pick is again. Once again,
Club Brugge to win, just to
Club
win
Brugge
today.
To win.
Plus 195 is my price, but you should be able to find 200 or better right now.
The graphic had me thrown off. Okay, so Club Brugge, they're still here to win today. Anything else today?
Nothing else today. I got a couple more plays for you tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll start with Bayern and Leverkusen. These are obviously two of Kelley's Bundesliga teams. They are the two best teams in the Bundesliga this season. I like under 2.5 at plus 110. Anything plus money here, I think, works. They have met 3 times already this season in various competitions and had a total of 3 goals scored, including a 0-0 game a couple weeks ago where Bayern only had 2 shots the entire game, which is just crazy. I couldn't find the last time they only had 2 or fewer shots in a game. It's been a while. Leverkusen just really cracks down defensively on Bayern. They don't give them a ton of shots, and when they do, they're very low quality. So I think they'll do the same here because, again, this is the first leg. This is in Munich. You give Leverkusen a 0-0 draw, and they get to go home for the second leg, and they're ecstatic. So I think this will be another grinded-out type of game, mostly because that's how Leverkusen's going to make it. Bayern is a good team. They don't have quite maybe the ceiling that they've had the past couple seasons. So I like under 2.5 here, getting plus money.
All right. So again, recapping the first two. Today, Club Brugge to beat Aston Villa, and then tomorrow, Bayern Munich over Bayer Leverkusen, under 2.5 goals. Both teams from the Bundesliga. Did we make an Oscar comparison there? Did I miss it?
Did not make. Let's see. Bayern. I have Bayern as Wicked in that Wicked's the movie's kind of the latest version. It's something that's been around 20 years. Not the best version, but still plenty fun, has some highs and lows, and that's kind of Bayern here. This is not the best Bayern team in recent years, but they've still got lots of talent. They could still, win Champions League. They're the, fourth or fifth favorite. It's not a shock. But their defense isn't quite as good, especially in transition, as it has been.
All right, so third and final one, we have the old BTTS play here.
Yeah, and this is both teams to score no in Feyenoord Inter Milan at plus 105. So you're saying both teams will not score. Obviously, Inter's the one that's more likely to score. I compared them to Conclave. They've got a lot of pedigree, Oscar pedigree, acting pedigree, that kind of thing, and a lot of quality. And I think Inter should be a title contender. If you want a long shot and can get them at 1,200 or so, I don't hate that. Inter's just hoping that, like Conclave, things don't get too weird toward the end of the movie. But Inter, I think, should roll in this one. I just kind of went with both teams to score no because they have good defense. Inter does, and I think it's a 1-0, but in case Feyenoord holds on for a 0-0 draw or scrapes out some weird 1-0 win, I would just like both teams to score no at plus 105.
That was Brian Ortega's favorite numbers game segment of all time. He's like, Oscar films.
I like that somehow I know these soccer teams better than the movies. This doesn't even work for me.
He's like, it doesn't end weird like Conclave. I'm like, sure.
Sure.
So how does that? Feyenoord and Inter Milan, both teams to score no, expecting the old 0-0 here.
Yeah, 1-0 Inter win, 2-0 type of win is kind of what I anticipate.
Okay.
In this line, you get a couple other options in there.
Yeah, as long as one of them are nil, you're good to go on that. Paul,
yep, need a nil.
Always a pleasure, man. Thanks. Good to see you, and nice to meet you again.
That's right. Nice to meet you, Gill. Hi, Kelley.
I really hope his win streak continues. Paul Carr, everybody on the show. Will Hill will join us, as well as some more tennis. Let's talk the men's side next. Indian Wells. Numbers game. VSiN.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Back on a numbers game, live from Circus Studio, downtown Las Vegas. Pardon me. It's Gill Alexander. It's Kelley Bydlon. Have you seen this story about Hard Knocks? Have you been following the Hard Knocks saga?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I mean, nobody wants to do it, right?
Well, here's the thing. So Hard Knocks went from, let's call it Hard Knocks Classic.
Right.
Which used to be, in August before the regular season started. And I don't know, I would say the best one of all time was probably the Cleveland Browns one, where Baker Mayfield was vying for the second string and Hugh Jackson was just awful. And his assistant coaches were kind of like in rebellion. And then they expanded. They did a preseason Hard Knocks. And first of all, they did an in-season Hard Knocks. Mm-hmm. The Dolphins one was great a couple seasons ago. And then they started doing a preseason Hard Knocks. And the preseason Hard Knocks with the New York Giants, I would say, rivaled the Browns' classic Hard Knocks in how unbelievable it was as being a window into the brain trust of an NFL team. Specifically, that their GM, Joe Shine, was basically, you got to see the entire Saquon Barkley thinking, which, on the one hand, right? On the one hand, what did I call him? Joe Shine? Is that his name? On the one hand, it was sort of like, I get what the Giants were thinking, where it was, you had to, you're a bad team. Do you pay an NFL running back a monster salary at that position? Because what does it get you?
Yeah.
What does it get you? So I understand the thinking. On the other hand, we got to see the owner, right, Mr. Mara, walk in there and be like, I'm going to be real upset if he ends up with the Eagles. Just want to let you know that. And Shine had this awkward conversation with Saquon where he's like, so Saquon, what we're going to let you do is we're going to let you talk to other teams. And then, my hope is that, you'll come back to us after you get that offer and give us a shot. And you could hear like a pregnant pause on the other end of the phone and Saquon being like, okay. Like he wasn't agreeing to it. Like Shine didn't get the agreement that he wanted. Anyway, because of that, because the NFL team's reluctance to participate following last year's contentious coverage of the New York Giants, it looked like the University of North Carolina, Bill Belichick, Michael Lombardi, and the University of North Carolina were going to do the first ever college Hard Knocks off season. But negotiations have collapsed, Kelley. It is not going to happen.
I can't believe it even got close.
Fans and media are very disappointed. The breakdown stemmed from disagreements over creative control and contract terms. It's got Lombardi's fingerprints all over it. I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe it's Belichick.
Yeah. I was shocked when that was first even brought up, that like Belichick would want to have anything to do with this. Yeah.
I can't imagine that he wanted to.
I mean, like, there's got to be. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would love to see it, right? But there's got to be some rough, like, transitioning from the NFL mindset to working with collegiate, college age kids.
Can you imagine those conversations?
No, yeah, that's what, like, of course we'd all love to see it, but like if I was Belichick, I'd be like, I think I probably need a year or two here before we do something like this. Like, wouldn't that be the obvious answer? Like,
Coach, you got a lot of Riz. That's lit. Belichick's going to be like, what?
I love that.
Do your job.
I love that commercial with the dad like cooking breakfast.
Dude, can I tell you something? I do that to Gracie all the time. I try to embarrass
Boomers.
all the time. It's one of the great things ever to do, to embarrass the teenager. So anyway, that's off. So no Bill Belichick. UNC will no longer be on HBO's Hard Knocks after talks between both sides break down.
Just bringing it back to the Giants, and I know this is kind of more sports talk radio, but like, what are they doing? Like it's a.
I don't know.
It feels like this is getting talked about more, but it just, I don't remember the last time that it feels so obvious that a GM and head coach are basically going to hold the franchise hostage when they're going into a draft.
By the way, I keep calling him Joe Shine. It's Joe Shane.
Shane.
Joe Shane. First of all, the Aaron Rodgers stuff. I don't believe that for a second. Like, if you told me that was true, I would be like, what are they doing? Like, what does that do for them at all? But I don't know what they're doing.
But like, if you go out and draft a rookie quarterback, like, you've got to be given a couple years with him. So their strategy, or at least that makes it the most difficult, right? Doesn't that make it the most difficult for ownership to fire you? Is if you bring in a rookie quarterback and then it's, well, hey, you got to give us time to work with this kid.
I think the Saquon thing upset that ownership so much. And again, I actually defend Shane a little bit because I kind of get it. Like, if you're the Giants, do you really pay Saquon? I know where he ended up, and they ended up winning a Super Bowl and stuff. By the way, they got to look up at Philly and Washington now for how long, I mean, and it's a running back. I hear you. Like, it's if you're a running back, you could have a great running back. If he's on a crappy team with a crappy offensive line, he's not going anywhere. He went to the team with the best offensive line in football. All of their problems started because they paid Daniel Jones. It all started with that, right? Because then you have to, at that point, if you're going to pay Daniel Jones a top-tier salary, and we've talked about this a million times on this show, this is the cruelty of NFL economics where you have to make a decision, right? Do we pay Dak all of this franchise-altering money? Do we pay Kirk Cousins all of this franchise-altering money? Jared Goff? The list goes on and on about these quarterbacks who, again, you can only win a Super Bowl if you're a Hall of Famer or if you're overperforming on a rookie contract. The in-between is a nightmare. Mm-hmm. And so the Giants decided, yes, Daniel Jones, who, by the way, they overdrafted at 4, was it?
Yeah, they're about to do it again.
Yeah, they're about to do it again. They are absolutely
about to do it again. It just feels like this growing thought too of like everybody knows it's coming because of the desperation from the GM and head coaching position. And what, like, I just don't know if you're the Bears, how are you letting these guys stay? Like, if this is what they're coming to you and telling them they want to do in the draft and in free agency, Aaron Rodgers. As soon as they mention Aaron Rodgers to me, I'd be like, all right, like, hit the streets. Like, I would too. I would too. You're clearly just trying to make a splash to save your job. Like, just go.
Be like, see you. I'd walk. I wouldn't say anything. I'd walk back to my office and be like, get rid of him. Security. We did the women's. We didn't do the women's side of Indian Wells earlier on the show, but I did mention I had one bet in case you missed it earlier. The podcast for Indian Wells, tennis's de facto 5th major in tennis paradise. They're at Indian Wells, California, Indian Wells Tennis Garden in Palm Springs, or just outside of Palm Springs. Going to start tomorrow. The draw came out yesterday. It was just a fest of tennis hardos waiting for the draw. I'm sorry, what?
I got way too excited. Sorry. Did you see the Pegula story?
Yeah, the Pegula. Oh, it's fun. By the way, I've never seen Kelley react like that to anything. The Pegula story is awesome for all kinds of directions because Pegula won Austin this past week. All right, cutting to the chase. She won Austin. She won the singles title in Austin. It was a 250. She waits. Now, I don't know if you know this. Again, we've mentioned this. Pegula is the billionaire. She's a billionairess to a $750 billion fortune. Her dad owns the Bills and Sabres. So she travels by private jet. So she waited for the doubles final to end, and she said to the girls who were in the doubles final, Blinkova, Yuan Yue, I think Zheng Shuai was in there. She said, hey, girls, you want to jump on the private jet? We'll all go to Indian Wells together. And they were like, bet, let's do this. And Yuan Yue said, she saved me a 9-hour drive.
Yeah.
And this, by the way, this is the biggest part of the tennis tour that people, I don't think, understand. If you're like not solidly in the top 30 or 40, the economics don't work on this.
Right.
They suck because you're paying for a coach, you're paying for a physio, you're paying some girls pay for a mental coach, right? Whereas Pegula's like, hey, I got you in my private jet.
I read some of those quotes, and it was like we were trying to figure out if we're going to drive, like we'd have to take connecting flights.
Oh, dude, trust me. They should check Southwest. I don't know if they might have a direct.
So good on Pegula. Way to go, Jesse.
Jess Pegula. JPEG.
Everybody hop on my PJ, on the old private jet. Let's go.
That was very sweet of her. Anyway, men's side, I haven't made a bet because, again, the draw just came out. These are, the outrights just came out early this morning, as did the quarters. We were able to slip in a quarter at MGM. But in terms of the odds on the men's side, this is Carlitos he's trying to three-peat here. He's at plus 250. Novak, who is the second shot, is in his quarter.
Oh, wow.
In his quarter.
I was wondering why he was so long.
The number one seed is Sasha Zverev. He's at 7-1, and then everybody else is double digits. The only thing I would have to say about this, and I have not made a bet yet, full disclosure here, but as I look at the quarters, Q3 is by far the toughest one. Rublev, Nakashima, Hachinov, Menchik, Shelton, Draper, Fonseca, Auger-Aliassime, and Fritz. Oh, my God.
Wow.
Those are 9 players out of 24 in a quarter because there's buys. So Q3 is the toughest one. If you are looking to make a long shot play, that might be the spot for you, or it just might be too cluttered where you don't want any part of it because, Bencic might have to take on Anisimova as the best round 2 potential matchup on the lady side. This one would be Draper versus Fonseca. Good God.
How we feeling about how you and Drew feeling about Fonseca these days? Fonseca?
He's fantastic, but they did him no favors here putting him in Q3.
Just looking at the odds, did old Daniil draw an easy path or something? Because I feel like those odds are kind of short for what we've seen on him.
Yeah,
recently.
he's in the easiest quarter. He's in quarter 2, which is Casper Ruud's quarter of all people. Yeah, Medvedev got a pretty easy shot, but Drew has a long shot in that quarter in Q2, and Daniil Medvedev's. You'll have to listen to the podcast, Beating the Book Indian Wells podcast, which we will put out right after I do my segment with Zach, right after the show today. So check it out for all of our bets. We will come back. Will Hill College Baloncesto Conference tournaments and games tonight. That's next. Numbers Game, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Do not take a swing in the dark. Step up to the plate. Prepared with VSiN's MLB betting guide, Adam Burke's masterpiece. Get expert tips on how to bet baseball, including a stats glossary to help you break down key analytics. Dive into awards market analysis for MVP and Cy Young, and gain a player's perspective on evaluating pitchers from former Major League Baseball pitcher Jensen Lewis, who of course is also the co-host of By the Books here with Dave Ross every morning. From advanced metrics to sharp betting angles, the VSiN MLB betting guide is your ultimate playbook for the season. Avoid strikeouts at the sportsbook. Become a VSiN Pro subscriber today for as low as $9.99 and get your copy of the MLB betting guide today. Sign up today at VSiN.com/subscribe. That's VSIN.com/subscribe. Will Hill joins us now. He's the co-host of the Megapod. Will join us once again for the March Madness Megapod, which we will do in a couple weeks right after Selection Sunday. He's got his own podcast called Shoulda Bet More, and of course, he is part of the Bear Bets Empire over there at Fox Sports, Chris Felica's domain. It's Will Hill, everybody, at not the, with 2 E's, not the Will Hill on Twitter. How you doing, Will?
Gilly, what's going on? I'm doing good. How are you guys? Man, this is the best time of the year, but and I think we were talking about this in the group chat. They have really backloaded this conference tournament schedule where it's all like the next Wednesday, Thursday. It used to be, that Saturday 2 weeks before the selection, you get a few title games, then a few more. By now, we usually have like some title games. The Atlantic Sun's taking a break, which I'm sure we're going to get to that, and the whole reseeding, which we were doing a deep dive in at like 11 o'clock last night. So yeah, very strange.
By the way, what did we determine? This is how ridiculous we are. We spent at least 10 minutes in the group chat going back and forth on whether the Atlantic Sun reseeds their bracket or not. And like the Atlantic Sun website has no knowledge that their own conference reseeds. Because that's what we determined, right? It does reseed.
I believe it reseeds.
Yeah.
And I checked like 8 different things, and it was like 4 said one thing, 4 said the other. I don't know what to do. I'm sending screenshots back and forth to people who are telling me different things, and it doesn't. It's pertinent to me because I bet and I gave out Queens at 50-1 to win it, and they won their first game. I figure, you know what? If they can just get to the final against Lipscomb in the 6th spot, they'll be in the 2-3, and then you get to a final, you have some wiggle room to hedge. But they won, they pulled the upset. And now they get Lipscomb in round 2, which, look, they already beat Lipscomb. They both shoot a ton of threes, so there's some variance there. So I like you're probably gonna have to beat them anyway. It was just very strange that nobody could get really a straight answer in terms of like how this how this tournament unfolds here.
Queens in the semifinals now down to 22-1. So who do they end up playing? Do they play Lipscomb or North Alabama?
I think they got to play them both, right? They just
eventually they will. Yes. Eventually, yes. But who in the semis?
No, that's what I mean. They just play them both because nobody can make up their mind.
Oh, at the same time, 5 on 10. By the way, how many human beings do you think besides us were trying to determine if that conference tournament was reseeded or not last night? Human beings on Earth.
It can't be double digits, right?
The 8 other bettors on the planet trying to figure that out. We never talked about it yesterday, but the South Carolina women's college basketball coin flip tiebreaker, did you catch that over the weekend?
Oh, I did not.
We're still going to coin flips to decide tiebreakers still in college athletics.
Tiebreaker for what was it?
This was for the conference, I believe.
Huh.
Number one seed. Thank you, Brian Ortega.
Yes. Yeah, for the number 1 seed. Okay.
Well, one more thing on the group chat that I think we should just iron out on the air. Yes. I want to know where you stand on this.
Yes.
For people that don't know, it's you, me, the Bear, Chris Felica, Todd Wishnev, and Fez. And there's this new thing. It's relatively new. And we all kind of give out picks. Todd gives out by far the most. But there's this new thing where if a pick is looking good, or even if it's just started, Fez will come in and declare it a winner. Good call in that game. Indiana State, it's a winner. And Todd gets extremely upset. I don't like calling these things winners, but I do like Fez's, and I appreciate Fez's ability to kind of get under Todd's skin. So I'm torn on it. Where do you stand on everything?
Oh, Todd is enraged, and I think correctly so. Like, honestly, when Todd comes into town, there could be violence. There could be violence. If he does it to his face, there could be violence. Like, because Fezzik thinks it's funny. It's not funny because the one time it doesn't happen, Wishnev's going to lose his mind. That's gambling 101 etiquette. You don't do that.
It's like talking to someone's backswing at golf.
But he has a robot brain, Fezzik. He's an actuary. He doesn't get it.
It's almost like he's daring the betting gods. Like, this pick is so good. I don't believe in like all of that stuff. It's like jinxing a no hitter. It's just. Yeah, I tend to be with you. We'll see what we can do.
Anything else you wanted to adjudicate from the chat? Politics? No, anything else you want to talk about?
I mean, that's VSiN plus.
Yes,
that is quite the social experiment, that group chat.
All right, so Queens, by the way, not New York, North Carolina, correct? Yeah. On Queens, correct. 22-1 before they play their last 2 games. Would you bet that still?
Yeah, I don't know enough about these conferences to like know what the line is going to be, and I've been looking for the semifinal lines. To answer your question, yes, I would. Mm-hmm. I don't know, like, what are they going to be in terms of a dog against Lipscomb? They don't play until Thursday, which is another weird thing. I can remember this tournament being one day, like, you get these teams and you can argue whether momentum is real or not, but you play Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you just kind of get hot, and it's just one day into the next. And that is what's great about March, where you could just, these teams you've never heard of, nothing about, you get a future on them. Then you're like the biggest Queens fan for 2 or 3 days. You're all immersed in it. It's a lot of fun.
All right. Horizon League begins tonight. Robert Morris is the short shot. Patriot League begins tonight. Well, let's see here. What do you got? Bucknell is the short shot in the Patriot League at plus 110. And then the Sun Belt. Sun Belt begins tonight. I love this kind of week, man. It's awesome. Where Arkansas State is your short shot. Anything in either or any of those 3?
Colgate at 4-1, and I only have DraftKings for this tournament here in Connecticut, so I haven't shopped it. Maybe you can get a better number, but they're going to be pretty big favorites against Army Thursday night in the 3-6. Then they probably get American in round 2. American beat them both times, but they were both close. Those teams are not that far apart. There's a pedigree with Colgate. They seem to always win this tournament. I think they have a really good shot to get to a final, and Bucknell, I think, is beatable. It might not even be Bucknell. So I think that these teams are closer than the odds indicate. I don't know if a money, again, people are going to say, money line rollover. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't to do that. And you know what, maybe just take a half unit and do one of each just to see, what works better. But I do think Colgate is live at plus 400. I bet that.
All right, we can keep going to tomorrow. I love this. Big South tomorrow starts. High Point is the short shot. I don't have one for the Northeast. I don't have odds for the Northeast, which begins tomorrow. Ohio Valley, Southeast Missouri State is the short shot. And then Summit League, it's old St. Thomas of Minnesota. Don't get your St. Thomases confused. They are the short shot. Anything in any of those.
Yeah, and St. Thomas, I like Omaha in the Summit. I think they're plus 450. They're actually the 1 seed at plus 450. To me, that just kind of jumped off the page. St. Thomas, and this another rule that drives everybody crazy, and I'm with them. They can't make the tournament because I guess they're coming from D2 or whatever. So
that's right.
Even if St. Thomas wins, they're not eligible, and I think it would go to the regular season champ, which is Omaha. But Omaha, as a 1 seed, as a regular season champ at plus 450, is intriguing. The other conference that's interesting, I'm not going to bet it because they're going to have to win, I think, 5 games. Did you see how the Sun Belt is set up, where it's 1, 2, then 3, 4? Like these bottom teams, if you're going to, in order to win, you're going to have to win like 6 or 7 games. It's really bracketed to favor the top teams, and it's really layered. I don't know if you got a chance to look at that.
It's like how the West Coast Conference does it, right? Where like Gonzaga and St. Mary's just chill for like 4 rounds. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it might even be more extreme. But one team that jumps out to me, and we were watching the other night, it was one of those bad beats that we were trying to avoid overtime. Texas State, they beat James Madison. They've hung with some of these teams in the top. They're 30-1. Again, they got to go the long route. I think they're the 5 seed, but that's at least a team from a talent standpoint that could win, 3 or 4 games and make a run. We've been watching these tournaments long enough. It's not going to be all chalk. You're going to get some upsets. It's single elimination.
Yeah.
It's if you're a 1 seed, you have all the pressure. Man, we had this great season from November to March, and one bad game, one bad half, we're done. There's a lot of pressure.
Well, no more reflected in what you're just saying than in the Missouri Valley, right? Where Drake is minus 110 to win the Missouri Valley Conference tournament. If they lose, they might not make the tournament.
I was going to bring them up because I think they're 27-3, but they're only 60th in Ken Palm. And did you see they're 5-0 in overtime? So that 27-3 is a little bit misleading. I would look elsewhere in that one. Maybe Bradley. I think it was Wishnev who said Illinois State at like 16-1. He likes that team. I have not watched them, so I will take his word for it. But I've seen Bradley. Bradley won in Drake a close game. Drake is going to play a lot of close games. They don't blow you out. They don't score a lot. They play a slow tempo. So they're a team that if they got in, they're going to be dangerous just because of their defense, their pace, their tempo, things like that. But I'm not sure they're going to win that tournament. And remember, it was last year was Indiana State, right? Same conference where that was a big topic. They had this great regular season, similar record, and they got left out.
Real quick, anything West Coast, anything Big Sky, anything Southland?
No, I did play Texas A&M tonight.
Okay.
I think plus 4.5, I think, is the best number I'm seeing. Auburn has everything clinched. Keep that in mind this last week of the regular season. Some of these teams that have nothing to play for, those can actually be conducive to a lot of overs if both teams are playing for nothing. But A&M is off 4 straight losses. And Auburn, if they do have a flaw, it could be on the glass, and they do foul a little bit, and A&M can get to the line. A&M is a good rebounding team, so wouldn't be shocked if A&M pulls the upset there.
You don't have to reveal it now because we don't have the brackets obviously yet for March Madness, but you famously called Florida Atlantic to go to the Final Four 2 seasons ago. Do you think if the brackets break a certain way, you might have a similar type of team?
It's tough. I'm still deciding. I'm still still looking things over.
That was the famous Beating the Book Megapod where Will called Florida Atlantic Final Four, and Todd nailed the final, UConn versus San Diego State. And he also had Michigan State going far. Will, enjoy. We'll be on the group chat. Thank you, sir.
All right. See you guys. Thanks.
My man. Kelley and I coming back. It's a numbers game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Back on a numbers game, live from Circuit, Gill Alexander, Kelley Bydlon. After the show here, I'm going to speed through the streets of Las Vegas. Alert the Las Vegas Police Department that I'm speeding back to do the second portion of the Indian Wells podcast with Zach. And then I'm playing tennis with Parlay.
Oh.
The Grover Cleveland of producers.
What are the odds on that one?
I think I'm a favorite.
Yo, minus 240?
I don't know.
800?
No. No, but I'm a favorite, I think. Bobby Geddes. We get tweets at Beating the Book. Bobby Geddes. I could listen to Joe Pita talk all day. I remember reading the Masters book in 2019, and it was awesome. I currently have 3 of his books in my office. Great segment, and thanks to Joe Pita, Magic Rat SF on Twitter. Joe Pita is, I'm with you, man. Everything he writes is always, and obviously his appearances, but I cannot recommend more highly enough for those who are interested in this field. Moneyball for the money set, basically applying his sports handicapping principles to, investment advisors in his field, and basically saying, yeah, this guy's, he's not giving names, but he basically lays out the blueprint for how companies should evaluate their investment advisors.
Which he then turned into a job. It's not just writing a book. To
me, it's his greatest legacy. This is D-Gen Southern Jen, who says, Gill, given the two of your history, I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy how violently you accused your former colleague of having his fingerprints all over the collapsed Hard Knocks deal. I was only kidding, of course. But I just took the opportunity to make a joke of it. Keto Walker. To Champions League bettors, it's extremely important to factor in possible VAR reviews and yellow card penalties to your live betting strategy. Also, extra time could be an advantage. Good luck. I assume Keno is being sarcastic on all of that.
I don't think he is. I mean, maybe is it for the downtime? Like, how we talk about wait for commercials to jump in live betting?
Yeah, but how can you factor in possible VAR reviews?
It's just like when you don't get any stoppages during a match, right? Like this would at least be enough time to get a bet in.
By the way, there should be a numbers game investigation into soccer stoppage time. The arbitrary nature of soccer stoppage time.
It is I enjoy the sport, Gill, but the fact that you can't tell me exactly when it ends, I have a problem with that. Yeah.
Keno might not be sarcastic. That's how ridiculous I find the whole thing. It's funny
that you and I took that two different ways.
You'll have to let us know. Matthew Mayberry. I was one of the people trying to figure out if the Atlantic Sun reseeded. LOL, he said. And then a Joe named Jim says the same thing. He says, "Hey, great. Gill, I'm sure you're not extending invites to the chat group, but I was solo figuring out the reseeding and wouldn't mind being part of a like-minded group of folks." Yeah, I don't know when the problem is the Atlantic Sun website just has a bracket up there. So you're like, oh, well, this team will play this team and so on and so forth. Like standard bracket, methodology. Nope, not the A-Sun.
I mean, most do not.
No, of course not.
Right? You just set up a bracket.
Yeah, this isn't the NFL playoffs. It's just small conference tournaments.
I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing out on some massive change or something.
I would imagine the reason they do that is because these teams play the games on their home courts. So I don't think these small conferences are like, hey, let's do more travel.
Yeah,
that's what I'm guessing it is. Torch D. Gill, can you give me 2 Indian Wells? This is a great question. Gill, can you give me 2 Indian Wells minus 300 or less favorites that you think should be priced even lower? Can be today or tomorrow. You always get funny requests. Like people want bets, but then specifically Torch D is like, hey, look, I don't want to bet any plus monies. I just want to bet like something that's kind of a sure thing, but not really that expensive.
How do you feel about Giulio Zappieri against Mikhail Kukushkin today in the qualies?
I don't.
Minus 215.
I don't. Zappieri. I try to stay away from the qualies. I don't know how to answer this other than Iga to win her quarter. There you go. There's a minus price that's probably lower than it ought to be, although it's not an easy quarter. But Iga to win her quarter would be my answer to that. And what is Carlitos to win it all? What is he to win it all? He's probably still plus money to win it all.
Oh, yeah. Hold on.
Yeah.
I think it was wasn't he like plus 275?
Yeah. So Iga to win her quarter would be my answer to that.
250, plus 250.
Plus 250 for Carlitos to win the whole thing.
Him and Djokovic in the same quarter, you said?
Same quarter.
It is funny because, I mean, obviously I'm not betting it like you are, so it's funny when I punch up the outright, like the futures graphics, and I'm like, well, that number feels a little, I was like, Djokovic over 6-1? Like, that feels long.
Yeah.
And then Medvedev, right? Because remember the past, what was it, the Australian Open? I was like, why is Medvedev so long? I thought hard courts were supposed to be like his specialty.
Right, but this was the court. Indian Wells was the court. It's the slowest of the hards, right? This was the one where Medvedev lost his mind about 2 years ago. This isn't hard courts.
That's right.
What kind of hard courts is this? And so they kind of like, I almost wonder if they changed the courts just to make him shut up. By the way, Novak Djokovic, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, Kelley. 38 in May.
And if, wow.
Yeah, can't go on forever.
And if you are looking to invest in the lake-hold hard court technology, Advanced Polymer Technology is the company that manufactures the courts.
So if you're interested in such things. Time for your G-Bank Best Bets of the Day, courtesy of G-Bank, the official bank of VSiN. Every host, every guest on every show recaps at the end here on VSiN. Start out with mine again this morning. First thing, Belinda Bencic to win quarter number 2 at Indian Wells, the BNP Paribas Open. tennis's de facto fifth major, at 6-1. Some folks were able to get her at 5-1 this morning as well. I subscribe to that. 4-1, let's not get crazy. Because you should just moneyline rollover at that point. Seriously, like we did her moneyline rollover. In her quarter, we're just projecting who she might play, that kind of thing. Her quarter is so deep, like it could be a 3-digit pick. I mean, it's ridiculous what her moneyline rollover could be. Jay Kahn joins us to talk hockey with us. He's got the Flames tonight. Calgary Flames at plus 126, and he's got the Detroit Red Wings at plus 175. 2+ monies from Jake in the NHL tonight. Full hockey slate, not completely full, but pretty solidly full. Will Hill just joined us to give a Patriot League future. He is on Colgate, Patriot League historical juggernauts. Colgate, they're at 4-1. They are not the short shot this year. And then he's got Texas A&M tonight in college hoops, catching the points here, catching 4.5. Joe Pita with a plethora, am I allowed to say plethora, of MLB season win totals. 5 of the 6 were in the American League. He's got the Yankees under 91.5. The Red Sox over 86.5. The Mariners over 85.5. The Twins over 84.5. And then, much to the delight of certain host on this show, Guardians under 82. Love it. And then he went out the door with a National Leaguer. Buccos, Pirates under 77. Making all the Yinzers upset.
Still don't know how I feel about the Guardians logo. It's like the baseball with the wings on the side or whatever. Oh, it's weird.
Yeah, well, it's better than that last logo.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Which somehow lingered an extra year after they're like, yeah, we're going to change it.
It's very true.
They had to get their merch in place before they did that. It was like merch over anybody's feelings. Man. Paul Carr's Champions League picks. Today, he's got Club Brugge to beat Aston Villa at plus 195. And then tomorrow, Bayern Munich and Bayer Leverkusen under 2.5 goals plus 110. And then would you like to pronounce this last one, Kelley?
Feyenoord.
What is it?
Feyenoord for fire nudes. Like I said last time, Paul was on and gave out this team.
Fire nudes.
Feyenoord
against Inter Milan. Both teams to score no plus 105. So he's looking for at least 1-0 on one of the sides in that game. Those are Paul's Champions League picks. And once again, G-Bank, the official bank of VSiN. And do not forget that G-Bank is upping the ante with up to $750 bonus for new G-Bank Visa Signature Card customers. First, new customers who spend $1,000 on eligible purchases within 90 days from account opening receive a $250 bonus. In addition, if you spend $50,000 on gaming and sports app loads within the 30 days of account opening, you'll receive another $500 bonus. That's potentially a $750 bonus. Apply now at VSiN.com/GBank. That's VSiN.com/GBank. Subject to credit approval. Terms and conditions apply. Second consecutive day with no bets from Kelley Bydlon.
Yeah, on the sidelines for now. I'm eyeing some gross NBA games tonight, though, Gill. I have a feeling I'm going to end up on the Brooklyn Nets at San Antonio.
The Wizards thing didn't work out last night. They got rolled.
No, I didn't. I didn't end up betting it either. But yeah, that was they got bad. Look, we are in the season of we're getting there of just moneyline parlays. We've talked about this before at the end of NBA
numbers
seasons.
Game staple. Brain dead moneyline parlays.
There are. I think it's going to be very. Last night it would have been tough for you to go wrong with a couple of the big favorites. Tonight I think you got some opportunities out there too if you want to tie the Cavs in. Timberwolves. I think both of those are going to be, I would be pretty shocked if they ended up losing.
No thoughts on the Dubs and the Knicks tonight because Curry might not play?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like I don't know if you caught any of that post-game stuff last night, but yeah, it looks like that's a little bit more serious than I think we originally thought. I don't think it's bad, but enough of a tweak to that ankle that he might miss. But Cat's questionable tonight. You have Kuminga that got upgraded to questionable too.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, he's might make his return. That's going to be the game of the night to watch if all those guys go. Slightly into the Knicks if all those guys played, but it's not anything I'm running to.
Nothing you're touching. What is it, 4.5 right now?
Yeah, 4.5. The other one I was interested in overnight was the Clippers side, but I do think this Mavericks stuff, there's Clippers at the Suns tonight. The Suns got to be feeling a whole lot better than they have in a long time about actually turning the season into something. You got a shot to make the playoffs at least now.
Do you think they read stuff like that, like read an injury like that to Kyrie and are like, oh, this is our chance, or do you think they're
like
just
Durant?
So? I don't know. I just wonder if we read into that more. Than
I totally could. Yeah, it's been a disaster. I don't know why it would change.
I don't know why it would change either. We've done all we can do. Stormy and Matt are next. Money moves right here at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Enjoy.